Welcome to Agency Accelerator Week. My goal here is to take you by the hand into a world that you didn't even know existed. A world which is going to reveal to you real-life strategies and tactics that 20-something-year-olds use to get paid thousands of dollars every single month with their agency business. These tactics have been field tested for over 6 years by thousands of students, regular people who went from working very regular jobs as waiters, cashiers, corporate jobs, studying in university, and some even in high school, and allowed them to achieve financial, location, and time freedom, and will allow you too to go from wherever you are right now to wherever you want to be in life, financially and lifestyle-wise. Essentially, fulfilling all of your greatest dreams. And this is what you're going to learn how to do step by step inside Agency Accelerator. And the idea for this event is very simple. Instead of trying to convince you that Agency Accelerator is the best program out there when it comes to starting a $10,000 a month online business from scratch, I'm gonna give you the actual classes from Agency Accelerator so that way you can start taking action today, and by the end of these 7 masterclasses, you can have your own agency business up and running, ready to start paying you anywhere from $500 to $10,000 a month. And my promise to you is during this event, I'm literally gonna show you everything you need to start signing your very first clients. In today's episode, you're gonna get the 6-step action plan to start your agency from zero. On episode 2, on Wednesday, I'm gonna reveal why most people live in a vicious cycle of failures and how you can actually break free from this trap. On episode 3, on Friday, I'm gonna give you the map to get to $10,000 a month with your agency and exactly what you need to do in the first 100 days, broken down week by week. Inside episode 4, on the next Monday, I'm gonna have the most important episode of them all, where I'm gonna personally give you the proven plan to sign your first client in 6 weeks. And these are all of the core masterclasses taught by me. And then the last 4 days of the event are going to be all about your implementation with our guest instructors that teach inside of Agency Accelerator. The first one will be a masterclass on email outreach with Guillaume, who's the founder of Lemlist, which is a multi-$100 million email outreach tool. Then we have Josh, who owns an agency with over 350 active clients, who's going to teach you how to put together an irresistible offer that clients can't say no to. And to close it all off, my business partner Pierre is going to show you how to provide your clients with a world-class client experience, so that way, not only can you sign clients, but you can keep them for as long as possible. Now, all 3 of these implementation masterclasses go live from the 22nd to the 24th. And if everything goes well, you're gonna be ready to sign your first client by the end of the event. Inside of today's class already, I'm gonna give you the 6-step action plan that you need to make that happen. This way, we can get started with the most actionable content you could get. So make sure you stay tuned until the very end. And without further ado, let's get into it. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our very first, actual module inside of Agency Accelerator. The last one, we basically went over the program, foundations, basically just got a lay of the land. But today's module is very, very important because in today's module, I'm basically gonna give you a high-level view. I'm gonna give you a 30-foot overview about this entire agency model and how to actually run it today, in today's day and age. Not how to run it in 2018 or 2021 or 2023, how to actually succeed with it today. So that way you can know exactly what we're doing as an agency, how we are using this new and improved agency model, and also so you understand the components as to why this is the best business model to make 10K a month consistently. So by the end of this first module, you're gonna have a complete understanding of how an agency works, what you need to do to sign your first client, and then I'm gonna give you the 6-step action plan to actually start making money with your own agency. So the first part is gonna be a little bit conceptual because I need to give you the foundation that you need, and then we're gonna get into the more actionable stuff. With that being said, let's get straight into it. So let me just tell you why the agency business is the best business. Now, what you need to understand is that this is the superior business model to get you to $10,000 a month. It may not be the sexiest, but it's the one that actually works. And to be honest, that's why you don't see as much online about it compared to drop shipping, trading, real estate, affiliate marketing, because I'm gonna be entirely honest with you. It actually requires you to do actual manual work and talk to real people and get paid. So it's harder to convince people to do it. It's way easier to convince an uneducated, unaware audience that they can make millions as a beginner by simply copying a proven Shopify store template, and then you just create some simple Facebook ads to it, and then you're magically printing money. For every $1 you put in, you get $5 back. And you can do all of that without ever having to talk to anyone, have any team members that you work with, nothing. It's just, you're printing money on demand, you're looking at the screenshots in your Lambo and chilling by the beach. People want to believe that's true because they want to find the hack. They want to find the loophole that no one is talking about. And the truth is, there's no loophole. Every single business model out there will require you to put a lot of work into it. Listen, I hate to break it to you, but you're not going to make millions of dollars as a beginner with any business model. And when I say millions, I mean you personally, because what the business makes and what you make are two very different things. For most businesses, that is. So you're not just going to start a business and become a multimillionaire straight off the bat. It's just with some business models, people can hide the fact that there's a fuck ton of work associated to it, and that there's a whole host of issues, and they can hide behind a wall of proven Shopify templates, the AI automations that do everything for you, the wildly profitable Facebook ads, the new AI robot trading strategy, so on and so forth. And by the way, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that these are bad business models and they don't work. Inside of Digital Launchpad, which is my e-learning platform, I have educators teaching 10 to 20 hour programs on all of these. The difference is those are all great business models to make your first $1,000 online. But what if you don't want to just make $1,000? What if you want to make $10,000 a month consistently, month after month, and do it with the lowest risk possible? Well, if that interests you, well then there's no better business model than an agency business. Because with dropshipping, you might do very well at first to make a few $1,000s in 1 month. And same with trading. You might get lucky or competent and make a few $1,000s at first. Here is the big problem between all of them. It doesn't matter how well you do in a month, because next month, you're gonna have to do it all over again, starting from zero. There's no guarantees that because you did well in 1 month, you're going to do well in the month after. If you want to make $10,000 a month with e-commerce, for example, every single month, well then you're going to have to sell 200 to 500 units of your product. And you're always going to have to start the month at zero, which is extremely hard to do. And by the way, that's why you see so many of these online millionaires, they come and they go. They might hit the jackpot once, that's the easy part. The hard part is hitting the jackpot every single month, consistently, month after month, year after year. And that is why an agency model is the best for you to make $10,000 a month consistently, because majority of our deals are something called client retainers, meaning once you sign a client, they don't just pay you once, they pay you recurringly, month after month after month, so that every single new sale you make, every single new client you sign, it just stacks on top of each other. If you sign a client for $1,000 today, well then next month you start at $1,000, even if you make no sales. Now, if you do sign another client for $2,000, well then now you're at $3,000 a month in recurring revenue, meaning the month after that, you're already starting at $3,000. And that is how you keep building step by step until you get to $10,000 a month. And this is the concept you need to internalize and use as your North Star, monthly recurring revenue. It is the eighth wonder of the world because it's compounding and it gives you predictability and it gives you consistency. And by the way, that's exactly what investors look at when they're acquiring big software or service companies. What is their monthly recurring revenue? Because the bigger the monthly recurring revenue a business has, the safer that business is, the more predictable it is, and the more valuable it is. And that's why the agency model is the best business to make $10,000 a month, not once, but consistently, month after month, because it optimizes for the best metric that a business could have, which is MRR, monthly recurring revenue. Now, obviously there's caveats with that too. You can also lose monthly recurring revenue if clients are not satisfied and leave you. And that's exactly why we have step-by-step strategies on how to deliver services for your clients or get them delivered for you. Not 2019 strategies, not 2020 strategies, the cutting edge stuff. And we're adding things to the program every few months. So losing a client because you didn't deliver the services well is something that you will never ever have to worry about. Listen, some clients end up leaving just because, but you can't control that. The point is, what is in your control, which is the quality of the services. Agency Accelerator, as well as the bonus programs, I have literally brought the best experts in the world to teach you a whole host of services that you can offer and how to be the best of the best at them, step by step, over the shoulder, as they show their screen in their computer. So now, let's talk about how the agency model works. You see, I ran an agency starting in 2016, and I ran that for over half a decade. And then from 2019, I've personally coached alongside with my team countless agencies, some starting at zero, some starting at $100,000 a month. I've worked with agencies in all ranges. I've seen it all, and I've helped people at wherever they're starting out. And throughout these years, the agency model has evolved, and it has adapted a lot. And looking back over this time, I mean, as I said, I got involved in the agency space 8 years ago, and I've been still involved in it over the space of 8 years. And I really consider there to be 3 different stages that the agency model has been through. And I think it's extremely important that you're aware of these stages, so that way you understand why we operate the way we operate and why it is the ultimate business model today. And most importantly, you always want to be ahead of the curve. And in order to do that, you have to understand how things evolved and adapted in the first place. Now, it all started with what I call 1.0 agencies. And really, today, majority of the agencies out there are still operating like these 1.0 agencies. And to be honest, that's why they struggle, and more often, big agencies that used to be around for decades are going out of business because they just got stuck in the old 1.0 agency model. Now, the first characteristic of a 1.0 agency is that they have offices and a lot of staff. Now, that's a big problem because an office, one, costs a lot of money that cuts into margin. It also limits your talent pool to one specific location. And with a lot of staff comes a lot of cost, high payroll, and thus a lot of risk. Remember, we want to keep things as lean and as simple as possible. So that is the exact opposite of the structure we want to have. And the reason why they do all of that is because 1.0 agencies are revenue-driven business models. So they offer a lot of services to a lot of clients, which requires a lot of staff in order to increase their revenue as much as possible. And usually they call themselves full-service agencies, meaning they do a bit of everything for everyone. And the result of that, well, they can definitely attract more revenue, but at a massive cost. Because think about it, they need so much staff, their payroll goes through the roof. And at the end of the month, their margin range is between 15 to 10%. And that is the profit margin of the average 1.0 agency out there. Meaning, if you make $100,000 a month in revenue, after all of your staff and fixed costs, you end up with only $10,000 a month in revenue. Now listen, I know that $10,000 a month is still a solid amount of money, but considering the amount of risk you're dealing with here and the volume you're moving on a monthly basis, you should personally have way more left over at the end of the month. And this is not where you want to be. Then we have the agency 2.0 model. And this was the next evolution of the agency business. And honestly, looking back, I think it all started with Tai Lopez back in 2016 when he started promoting his agency program. Now, if you've ever heard of the term SMMA, this is the type of agencies that we're dealing with here. Basically, the social media marketing agencies. And the idea here was great. Instead of having a lot of clients, let's just focus on the ones that pay the best. And instead of getting a bunch of staff to fulfill them for you, let's focus on services that are simple enough for you to fulfill yourself so that you don't need to have any staff to get started. It was a very do-it-yourself approach. And that was what allowed a lot of people in their 20s to start making full-time incomes online. $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 a month online. And it was in that era that I got started with my content production agency. And the idea here was that instead of trying to work with everyone, only focusing on businesses that sell services for $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 a pop, so that you only need to generate them a handful of new clients a month to justify the fee that you were charging them. Think dentists, real estate agents, chiropractors, car dealerships, mostly local businesses that you can find in your city. And then you'd provide them with what I call a convenience offer. Now, a convenience offer is an offer that saves the business time by them not having to do that themselves and still impacts their bottom line by bringing new customers. Think about video editing, creating content for social media management, etc. And when I first started with my agency, I did all that. And again, with the agency 2.0 model, I managed to make very, very good money, honestly. The only problem I had was that with that model, 80% of my time was spent on service delivery. So very annoyingly, you never have time to work on getting new clients to grow your business. You're stuck working in the business instead of on the business. And the thing is, very quickly, you hit a ceiling with this one. I personally noticed that around $5,000 to $7,000 a month, that was the area for most people where they got stuck. And the reason for that is that you simply wouldn't have capacity left to fulfill more work past a handful of clients. And in order to scale that, you need to hire people to do the work for you. And then it was very easy to run into the same problems as with the 1.0 agencies, which is very low profit margins and very complex client fulfillment. So the 2.0 agency model fixed a few of the problems of the 1.0 model, especially by making the barrier of entry to businesses extremely low, but it still had some issues that didn't allow you to turn this into a real scalable business. And that is how we finally get into the ultimate agency model, which is the agency 3.0 model. Now, the idea with this model is to keep things as lean as possible and as simple as possible, because when your operations are lean and simple, they can scale. And this model fixes the two big problems the previous models had. You see, for the 2.0 model, you were essentially a self-employed freelancer. You didn't have a real business, it was a one-man show, and really not that much different than having a self-employed job. To have a real business, you need a team. And if you're doing it all alone, you don't have a business. Now, the problem with the 1.0 model was that by having a team, that would mean running at 15% margins in order to afford them. And with the creation of the 3.0 agency model, we managed to have a real business with a team that takes care of all of the service delivery for you, so that way you can focus on growing your agency instead of working on it, all while maintaining 70 to 80% margins. And yes, it's possible, and I'm gonna explain in just a second. Now, first of all, with the Agency 3.0 model, we focus on picking a single service and a single niche and being as good as possible with it. Now, with the past models, there was a lot of focus on offering different services to maximize your revenue per client. But as we know, that comes at a cost, which is complexity and having to hire a bunch of people to fulfill all these different services. Now, with the 3.0 agency model, we don't provide any additional services. Why? Because we don't care about maximizing our revenue per client. The only thing we care about here is profit. I don't want to make $100,000 and only keep $10,000 of that. I want to make $100,000 and keep $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 of that. And we know that it is way more profitable to only have one service and be very good at that, so that way you can have multiple high-paying clients for that service while the fulfillment is always the same. And since it's always the same, it becomes very easy for you to get one or two contractors that will get all of the service delivery done for you without you ever having to touch that side of the business, while still getting great results for your clients. Because obviously, with great client results, your monthly recurring revenue will naturally grow month after month. And if we keep things lean and simple, as I'm going to show you how to do, majority of that revenue will be profit. Once again, we're talking 70 to 90% profit margins when structuring things properly with your 3.0 agency. It's really all just a matter of specialization versus generalization. We all know that brain surgeons make way more money than general practitioners. Yet, the 1.0 and 2.0 agency models try to be as general as possible to appeal to as many different clients as possible, not realizing that it is way better to appeal to only a handful of very good clients that pay well and streamline all of your operations. Again, revenue is a vanity metric. Here, we only focus on profit. Now, the real beauty of the 3.0 agency model is that since we don't have an office and we're not attached to clients of any specific locations, we can not only get clients worldwide, but we can also work with talent worldwide. And you can get incredible talent for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 while having multiple clients paying you $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 a month each. And using a simple strategy that I've created, you won't ever need to pay anything out of pocket. I call it contractor arbitrage. And with it, you only have to pay your contractors after the service has already been delivered and the client has already paid you. Meaning, you never run the risk of getting into any cash flow issues or high payrolls, exactly like what happens with the 1.0 agencies. Now, I'll go ahead and explain exactly how that works shortly. But what you need to understand for now is that with this model, you can spend 80% of your time on reaching out to potential clients, which is the activity that actually grows your business and that will allow you to scale to $10,000 a month without ever sacrificing your time and location freedom. And this is how you build a cash flow business. Now, the only thing you need to focus on here is getting great client results and building your cash reserves. And by the way, here's where you can spot people who actually have experience running a successful agency, or to be honest, just a cash flow business in general, versus the ones who do not. I hear this all the time, and I'm sure you've heard it too. Once your business starts making money, just reinvest it all into the business. And surely, once you're first getting started and hiring your first few contractors, that does make sense. But once you start making good money consistently with your agency, you're gonna see that there's not that much to reinvest back into. Listen, it's not as if we're running an extremely complex business that requires thousands of employees like it happens with software companies, for example, where you need a bunch of developers. Listen, I have many businesses where I reinvest all the profits. My eyewear business, Gadji, which makes millions of dollars a year, well, what do? I reinvest that into better terms with my manufacturers. I reinvest that into new stock. My software businesses, my main software business, Flowzy, for example, we reinvest that back into the team new developers, new offices. We reinvest that into new acquisition channels. Big Day, for example, which is my beverage company. We get money in and we invest that into new product SKUs. We reinvest that into more stock. We prepay, so we even get better terms with our logistics partners. I can go on and on with my list of businesses. The one business I genuinely could never find a way to reinvest back into was my agency. I got to a point where I was making such healthy cash flows and I didn't need more employees to service the clients. And even if I did bring on another full-time employee at that stage, that meant that I was able to unlock so much more potential revenue in terms of our capacity to deliver services. So speaking as someone who has so many businesses personally, as well as so many businesses I've invested in, I can genuinely tell you, agency is the one where you don't need to reinvest. It's just a cash cow. It produces money. You take that money, you go invest in other businesses, or you take that money and you use it to start other businesses, or you take that money and you live like a king. Whatever you want to do, you really can take the agency any way that you want. For example, with me, I took $1 million of profit from my agency. I publicly invested that into Bitcoin in November 2020. The other big thing I did that year with my agency profits, I took that money and invested it into my software company with my business partner, which since then we've now grown to the point where we have 30,000 agencies on there. So I know that was a little bit of a rant, but it always frustrated me when I heard people saying that ran agencies, oh, reinvest back into business. And I'm like, are we like running the same business? Like, what are you talking about? Because I will tell you the truth when it comes to this business. Reinvesting in your agency is the biggest lie that you've been told. And trying to reinvest everything you make back into the agency is the #1 way to ruin your business, cripple your cost, destroy your margins, thinking you're scaling a lot because your revenue is growing while you're still making the exact same amount of money every single month in profit, with a lot more complexity, a bigger team, a bigger operation, and overall carrying way more risk. And when you're in this situation, it only takes one thing to go wrong for the entire business to fail. Because now you have a lot of staff to pay and you're investing thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars a month into ads. You're investing into this thing and that thing and that thing. And then you have one bad month, your revenue drops a bit. And then now all of a sudden you're in the red with a lot of staff that you need to pay. And this is precisely how you get into cash flow issues. And this is exactly how 90% of businesses go bankrupt. And why does that happen in the first place? Because you've shifted your focus from our North Star metric, which is profit. And instead you focused on a vanity metric, which is revenue. Remember, we want to keep things lean, simple, and profitable. You want to build a cash flow business that allows you to spend 30% of what you make from the business, and the other 70% you invest. And this is how you become wealthy. You spend 30% of what you make and you invest 70% into actual investments, not back into your business. Eventually, your investments will make just as much, if not more, than your actual business itself. And at that point, you get to choose when you work, how long you work, or even if you want to work in the first place. And that is the path to wealth. And what you need to get there is a cash flow business. And that, my friend, is why the Agency 3.0 model, we optimize for cash flow. Now, it's very important that we get clear on what we're actually doing here, because I know that at times it can get confusing. And if you are confused, don't worry about it. I know it's a lot of new content, a lot of stuff to digest, and it is good that you're feeling like that, because it means that you're learning something new. Now, we're about to clear all of this confusion and really understand together what we're doing here as the 3.0 agency. Really, all we're doing here can be summed up to one sentence. We are delivering a service to a client where the ROI is higher than the fee we're charging. ROI stands for return on investment, by the way. To put it simply, we charge a client X and they make 5, 10, 20X that. And the way that we do this is by taking advantage of what I call the arbitrage economy. And that's what allows 3.0 agencies to exist and operate the way that we do. Now, for you to understand what the arbitrage economy is, think about businesses that are winning and made it big over the last few years. Uber, Expedia, Airbnb, TikTok. The way that all of these businesses operate is exactly the same. None of them deliver their final product or service themselves. Airbnb doesn't own any houses, Uber doesn't have any cars, Expedia doesn't own any airlines, and TikTok doesn't even produce any content. All they do is connect someone who is looking for a house, a ride, or a flight to another individual or company who can deliver that service that they're looking for. And then they package all of that under their own brand and take a cut of the final price charged for the service. In the arbitrage economy, the person that wins is not the one who delivers the service, but rather the one that orchestrates it. Even better, Airbnb, Uber, TikTok, the individuals who deliver their services for them are not their employees. They're not employees. They work with contractors. And most importantly, the contractors only get paid after they deliver the service. meaning there is absolutely no added risk to the business. I mean, think about it. Uber has no added risk when a new driver registers to it, because they only have to pay the driver once he has already generated money for the company. And this is the same concept that we apply to our 3.0 agencies when we work with contractors, because you only pay them once they already generated you money. So instead of being a cost to your business, they become an asset. And the way we do this is by adopting the cash flow model. And what I mean by that is you charge your client on day one before you provide them with any services, which is standard when you're working with agencies, by the way. And then your contractor fulfills on the service. And only then, at the end of the month, once the service has already been fulfilled, on day 30, you pay your contractor. And that's exactly what is expected in this case, because clients know that agencies, and any other service provider really, they charge upfront. And contractors and employees, well, they know that they get paid at the end of each month. Basically what we're doing here is we're just being smart with our cash flow so that you don't ever need any money to hire those contractors in the first place, because they generate the money before ever getting paid. And that is what arbitrage is. And that's how people get super wealthy, using arbitrage and leverage. And the smartest investors are the ones who do it with no risk. And that's exactly what we're doing here. Now, a lot of people have a few questions here, such as, but then how do you present a contractor as a part of your agency? Or do you tell your clients that you're outsourcing this service? Or basically, like, how does that work? And the answer is very simple. It's once again the same thing as with the Uber driver. You see the Uber driver as a part of the company. They're just part of Uber. You don't ever see it as Uber is outsourcing the service to a contractor. No, it's just your Uber driver. They're a part of Uber. And the same thing applies for a contractor. They're a part of your agency. You present them as a part of your team. You don't have to disclose if they're a contractor or if they work part-time or full-time with you. What matters is that they are a part of your team. And that's exactly how you present them to clients. And by the way, that's how you should treat them internally too, as a team member. And then people usually ask, well, why wouldn't the client hire the contractor directly then? And again, for the exact same reason as to why you don't hire your Uber driver. You don't call up a driver and have a log of all the drivers. No, you want to have the convenience and the safety of working with a brand, a company, instead of just taking all of the risk of hiring someone random. It's the same for your client. They are looking to work with an agency exactly because they don't want to hire employees to do that. There's too much risk associated with it. It's way easier to hire an agency because it's more hands-off. It doesn't require any management, and it also ends up being cheaper for them most of the time. In the exact same way, it's cheaper for you to grab an Uber whenever you need it instead of having a full-time driver. Now, another mental barrier that you're probably going to run through here when you're first starting out is to think, oh, wow, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, that's a lot of money. Why would clients spend that on me? And it's true. $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 is a lot of money when thinking about it from a personal setting. Like if you're personally spending that, that's a lot of money. But when you approach it from a business perspective, it's totally different, because a person would think a lot before spending $5,000 on something. But when you're thinking about a business investment, the mindset is totally different. Businesses spend that type of money on services, on rent, on software, on staff every single day. And that's because they know that these investments will generate them a return. So it's not as if they're spending $5,000 with an expense. They're investing $5,000. Which is a huge difference. It's the difference between being seen as an expense versus being seen as an investment. And then again, if you take the average e-commerce business doing $50,000 a month, which is not much, by the way, because of all the reasons that we mentioned previously, the costs, the margins, etc. So let's say, for example, they have 30% margins. It means that they're already spending $35,000 a month on the cost of goods, marketing, logistics, storage, staff, payment processing, etc., etc., etc. So they're already spending $35,000 a month. Do you really think that $1,000, $2,000, even $5,000 a month on top of that will faze them? Not really, especially when it's viewed as an investment. So don't worry about charging these prices. At the end of the day, as I said, it's not like the client is personally paying out of pocket themselves. It's not like they're sending you the money. No, they're investing into their own business, which for the businesses you're serving makes sense, as I've mentioned. That is how they should see their service. And inside of the full offer masterclass here inside of Agency Accelerator, I'm going to show you exactly how to frame your offer so that prospects see you as an investment versus an expense. So that way it becomes a no-brainer for them to invest into your services. But that's for later on. So now that you understand all of these concepts, I want to show you what the process is to actually signing clients and making money with your agency. In fact, I'm about to give you a 6-step action plan that you can start implementing today to get started with your agency. By the way, this is the exact same action plan that every single student we have that's generating thousands of dollars a month with their agency. It's the exact same system that they follow. So if you can send a few messages on Instagram and jump on a few Zoom meetings, well then you can do this. And after you finish this video, you will already have everything you need to start making anywhere from $500 to $2,000 with your online business. So if you're tired of feeling like you're just wasting time, now is the time to get out of the inertia and change that. So let's get into it. As I said, this plan is broken down into 6 phases. And if you log into the Agency Accelerator platform, you're gonna see these same exact phases. Here they are. Phase number 1 is foundations, and this is where we go through all of the setup we need to get started with your agency, such as choosing your service and your niche, as well as getting your entire agency set up, as well as your website, your onboarding funnel, contracts, templates, business email, everything. It's all plug and play. Click one button, it imports straight in. All of the templates, plug and plays, it's all done for you. And that's where you move to phase 2, mindset. In the same way you have to set up your business, you need to set up your mindset, because if you don't have the right worldview, if you don't understand how to be the person that can make 10K a month, well then you're gonna inevitably fail. So I don't want you to hear mindset and roll your eyes. Basically, the mindset training is a way for you to have the correct worldview, okay? Basically, imagine right now you're wearing glasses, but you're wearing the wrong lenses, so you can't see the world clearly, which means you can't get to the destination you want to get to. Phase 2, make sure that you have the right lenses for your eyes so you can see clearly and get to where you want to get to without bumping into walls and hurting yourself along the way, which is what you're currently doing. Now, phase 3 is outreach and prospecting, and here I'll tell you how to find clients and what to say when reaching out to them. Now, phase 4 is sales. So from your outreach efforts, you're gonna start to get meetings booked. And here's how you learn how to turn simple Zoom meetings into paying clients that put thousands of dollars into your bank account month over month. Now, phase 5 is systems and processes. Once you sign your first client inside of phase 4, here's where we put the processes in place to give your client a great client experience and ensure that they stay with you for a long time. Now, phase 6 is service delivery. And here's where you're gonna learn how to get the service delivery done for you by someone else using contractor arbitrage, or even by yourself if you prefer to go at the do-it-yourself route. And my objective here today is to run you through this 6-step process so that you can first understand what running an agency looks like, and second, give you a 30-foot overview of each step so that way you can start implementing it and work towards signing your first paying client without having to wait all the way until phase 6. So, phase 1 is foundations. Now, your job as a 3.0 agency is to find one single problem big enough that paying top dollar to fix it is a no-brainer. Basically, what you're doing is getting paid to fix problems for businesses. Now, you have to ask yourself, what is a problem that a business would pay you to get fixed? And there are countless ones. Each niche and industry has its own peculiarities. However, there's one big problem that's shared between pretty much all businesses, and that is sales. If you can get a business to sell more, they're gonna pay you generously. So now the question becomes, how can I help businesses sell more? And again, you can do that in a variety of ways. You can help them design better product pages, you can help them shoot content better, you can help them take better product pictures, you can help them run better ads, you can help them write better emails, you can help them position better on Google searches, all of which leads into getting more sales. What I recommend you is to think about how you can leverage different services in a way that allows businesses to make more sales with them. And let me explain what I mean by that. Let's say your service is video editing, for example. Majority of the agencies providing the service simply edit regular institutional videos that usually don't have much value for your client because no one really watches them and they don't really generate any ROI, return on investment for your client. And that is why I call it a convenience offer. It saves the time of that client from having to edit the video themselves, but it doesn't really provide much more value than that. And that is the type of service that a 1.0 and a 2.0 agency provide. And that is why they struggle to sign high-ticket clients. Now, with the exact same service, you could find businesses that run ads, for example, and help them create better ad creatives for their ad campaigns. Better ad creatives for them means lower costs on their ads, which means more profitable ads. So there is a clear ROI on the service you are providing them, or in simple terms, it will bring them more sales. And because of that, you get paid way more. And that is how you take a regular convenience service and turn it into an ROI service. And that is what we offer as a 3.0 agency. Now, another example is if you're good at writing, or if you get a contractor to do that for you, you can either spend time writing blog posts, which again, don't have too much value, or you can find e-commerce stores who have email lists of customers and write daily emails to that list, which is usually the store's #1 source of repeat purchases. Therefore, it becomes an extremely valuable activity for such business. Now, there are a lot of very simple and easy to offer high-paying services that, if framed correctly as an ROI service, you can leverage to get to $10,000 a month with your 3.0 agency. Now, what you have to keep in mind here is that the easier it is to attribute a monetary value to the service you offer, the easier it will be to justify charging higher prices. Meaning, if at the end of the month your client can say, okay, this guy's service directly brought X amount of sales to our company, which in total represents X amount of money in our bank account, how realistic do you think it is that you'll be able to charge a reasonable percentage of the amount that you brought them? I mean, it's a no-brainer, and that is why I always recommend choosing services that are easy to attribute a monetary ROI to them. Now, here are a list of my favorite ROI services to offer. Paid ads, so you've got Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube ads, and these are the easiest ones to attribute results to. You have content creation. Now, I like to use this one specifically for ads or sales videos where that specific piece of content is responsible for bringing sales. You have conversion rate optimization, which is basically a fancy name for saying taking an e-commerce's product page and redesigning it in a way that gets more people to buy their product. And it's way easier than designing a completely new website from scratch. You have email marketing, which is basically writing daily or weekly emails. And you'd be astonished if you saw the amount of revenue that emails can bring to an e-commerce store. Plus, by the way, the majority of these stores have big email lists, which they invest a lot to acquire each contact in. So for them, it's kind of like free marketing since it doesn't cost anything to send an email to their already existing contacts. It is pure bottom line for them. Now here inside of Agency Accelerator, you get 3 entire bonus programs for each service delivery. Each one of them teaches a different service that you can either learn yourself or use to train your contractors. We have Inbox Insiders that teaches email marketing. We have Ad Architect that teaches paid ads. And we have Pen to Profit that teaches copywriting. Now lastly, the thing you still need to choose here inside of phase 1 is your niche. Your niche is who you're going to be offering your service to. Remember, we don't want to simply appeal to everyone here. Our goal as a 3.0 agency is to focus on providing one service to one niche and getting very good at it. Now we have an entire module here in phase 1 on choosing your niche, so I won't get into too much detail here, but just to give you some pointers, I have 2 main things I deem as important when choosing a niche. First is choosing a niche that you're knowledgeable about, because this is going to make it 10 times easier to build trust when talking to potential clients. Now, if you're not knowledgeable about any specific niche or industry, just choose something that you're passionate about so that you're more excited to learn about it. And second, make sure to choose a niche where the business inside of it have high revenue numbers and good enough profit margins. This is going to make it way easier for you to get higher paying clients. Pro tip, by the way, a lot of people get stuck here overthinking what's the perfect niche, as if they only have one chance of choosing it and they're going to get married to it and they're going to have to stick to it forever. Remember, you can always change this later. And if you're in doubt, just select 2 different ones and go prospect on both of them to see which one works better for you. Talking about getting stuck, this takes us directly into phase 2. Now, phase 2 is mindset, and I've given this exact same action plan to thousands of people. Some of them went on to make thousands, and then dozens of thousands, and then hundreds of thousands with it, and some even got to millions. Now, at the same time, there's a lot of people who never managed to make a single dime from it. And the difference between the people who have an incredible success with this compared to the people who never make a single dime is the ones who succeed weren't afraid to execute. They weren't afraid of taking wrong decisions because they knew that eventually they would take that one right decision that would outweigh all of the wrong decisions that they've ever taken. So they just executed. While the people who never achieved anything with this plan, they got stuck. They got stuck choosing their niche, their service, or on one of the following steps of the plan. The point is, they never pulled the trigger. They were overthinking it, too afraid to take a decision. Whereas the ones that fail with this plan are the ones who don't execute. Now, mindset is pretty much all we've been talking about at this point. That's all mindset. And inside of Agency Accelerator, we have one of the best mindset trainings you can find online. And by the way, that's where my viral monk mode routine comes from. You know all those people who make monk mode videos or talk about monk mode? That was a module inside of one of my old agency programs almost half a decade ago, and that's how monk mode became popularized. Now, getting into all of that will be out of the scope of today's module. But throughout this module, you already have all of the mindset training you need to get started. So now you have to answer the question, are you going to be one of those people who fall through the cracks? Or are you going to be another master of your own fate? This decision has to be taken now, because once you do it, you have what it takes to get to the next phase. Now, phase 3 is outreach, which is learning how to find and approach potential clients. And this is going to be your most important activity as an agency owner, outreach. And that is finding and approaching potential clients, because that is the only way you're going to sign new clients. And signing new clients is the only way you're going to grow your agency. And this is where you should spend 80% of your time as an agency owner, prospecting new clients. And here is where most people fuck up with this business model as well, because there is endless ways to outreach. Cold calling, cold email, sending looms, Instagram DMs, LinkedIn, and the list goes on. The problem is, Majority of people just start prospecting without ever working on coming up with a high quality list of people to contact in the first place. You know what's the number one denominator of success when it comes to outreach efforts? Most people think it's about the script they have or the words they use inside of their outreach message. And that indeed matters a lot. If you have a weak message, no one's gonna respond to it. However, that only accounts for around 20% of your success when contacting potential clients. The other 80% is about who you choose to contact in the first place. You see, most people try to reach out to potential clients through cold email with an email list they scraped from some free website. And then their response rate is terrible and they think that's because of what they're saying in their messages. It's not. Majority of those scraped email lists from free websites completely suck. So it doesn't matter what you say in your messages, your outreach efforts won't work. What you have to do instead is find out where your ideal customer hangs out and go there to talk to them. And by the way, I don't mean physically go there. Let's say, for example, the niche you've selected is with e-commerce brands. You want to know the best place to find them? Well, there's a lot, but here's a few very easy ones. First, open your Instagram and search for an influencer that teaches e-commerce. I won't name anyone here because otherwise everyone will start reaching out to their followers, but you can find someone on your own. Now, what you have to do is go on this influencer's followers list and start opening profiles in there and just read their bios. And soon you're gonna find a bunch of e-commerce brand owners. And then all you have to do is list them all and contact them, which I'm gonna show you exactly how to do in the next step. You can also do the same thing on Twitter, by the way, by searching on the followers list of Shopify, for example. And you're gonna find tons and tons of brand owners there as well. Facebook groups also work here. You can also find people on LinkedIn and contact them there, or find their email from their profile. Really, the options are endless, but inside of phase 3 of Agency Accelerator, we have literally the best outreach training that's possible. So you're gonna learn all of these strategies. And the reason I say it's the best is because it's taught by Guillaume, who is the founder of Lemlist, which is the outreach tool that literally tens of thousands of successful agencies out there use to reach out to potential clients through cold emails. So he gets to see the inner workings of the outreach process for thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of agencies, and knows exactly what works and what doesn't. And most importantly, what is working today. So with that being said, whatever approach you decide to take, work on compiling a list of contacts and that will make your job 10 times easier. And just remember, we literally have the owner of a software company that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He is literally the king of outreach because he owns the software that everyone uses in order to do it. And he is the person that's teaching you outreach. You're never gonna find a better person on earth to teach you the proven strategies that are working today. I'm sorry I'm getting a little flustered. I'm sorry I'm getting a little excited, but it's just like what we have put together here inside of Agency Accelerator. It's the dream team. It's the best of the best. And I'm just so excited for you to see all of this training. So I'm gonna tell you exactly what to say when reaching out to potential clients. And then I'm gonna give you a step-by-step breakdown on what it takes to sign your first client. So after you have compiled a list of potential clients, you now have to message them. And here's the $1 million prospecting script to book meetings on demand with potential clients. And it's composed of 5 parts. First, you say hi. Second, you give context and express a common value that unites you and them. And then you use the common value to pivot to an opportunity point. And then you take the pressure off of them. And then you show them that you can help them by actually helping them. And finally, you invite them to a meeting. So let me break it down what that would look like in practice, using the example of selling Facebook ads to an e-commerce brand owner. Step 1, say hi. Hey, John, how you doing? Step 2, you give context and express a common value. I stumbled across your profile while reading one of the influencer of your choices post and noticed that you also follow him and have a brand that sells online. Now, this is important because whenever someone receives a message from someone they don't know, the first question that they're gonna ask themselves is, how did this person find me? Step 3, you're gonna pivot to opportunity point. Anyway, I was taking a look at your store and noticed that you currently don't have any active ads running. Now, this answers the next obvious question, which is, why is this person contacting me? Step 4, you wanna take the pressure off of them by saying something along the lines of, now, not sure if that's something you're currently working on or you just haven't had the time to look into it yet. You never wanna point out a problem in their business without acknowledging the fact that it's not their fault that such problem is happening. Otherwise, you're gonna come across as an asshole. Step 5, you wanna show that you can help them by actually helping them. Something along the lines of, but I'm sure a few ads will help you increase your sales. So I've taken a look at what a few other brands in the space are doing, and I found these few ads that are working very well for them. And I recorded this quick video breaking down these ads and the strategies for you. And this is where you put a Loom link. Here is where you send them a Loom breaking down the ads or whatever relevant info you can provide them based on your service. Now, if you don't know what a Loom is, it's just a simple Chrome extension that allows you to record your screen while you talk over it and easily send it to people. Now, the thing here is, since you'll be prospecting people in the same niche, you only need to record one Loom and you can use it with all potential clients. So record it as if you're speaking to one specific person, just make sure not to mention their names so that way you can always use the same Loom. Now, you can find good ads by searching on the Facebook ads library for some ads that have been running for a few weeks or a few months. Now, it shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes to find them and record a quick 3-minute Loom. And you can do the same for emails if you offer copywriting, video creatives if you offer video editing, product pages if you offer conversion rate optimization, and so on. And step 6, you want to invite them to a meeting. Something along the lines of, if you think those could work for you, I have a few angles in mind that we'd be able to quickly record and put them to test within a few days. You down to jump on a call so I can walk you through them? ? And you should also do the same invitation at the end of your Loom, by the way. And make sure you send each one of these as separate messages if you're doing it on Instagram. It's gonna look way more organic that way. And that's it. No need to overcomplicate things. And if you're wondering if this actually works in practice, here's a screenshot inside of our private community where we have a wins channel where everyone shares their agency wins. Here you can see Phil, who signed his first client 9 days after he started reaching out to prospects. You can also see John B, who made $1,500 in profit 2 weeks after starting his outreach efforts. Then, 6 days later, he posted again saying that he signed his 3rd client in 3 days, quoting him, "Perfect your outreach and the money will come rolling in." And by the way, that's exactly how I signed my first few clients back when I started my own agency. And I still have the videos on my YouTube channel, by the way. It still works to this day because the concept remains the same. Show your prospect that you can help them by actually helping them. And it's funny, I was watching one of our recent student interviews with one of our students who started from scratch. He didn't have an agency when he got into our old agency program. And within a few months, he scaled to over $50,000 a month and used that money to invest into 2 other businesses that he's now an owner in. His name is Armando. And there was 2 things he kept repeating over and over throughout the interview. The first one was how he was focused on providing value upfront before ever working with a client, and how that allowed him to attract a lot of clients in his niche. And number 2, how he focused on specializing in one single niche and getting very good client results for that specific niche with his specific service, which is exactly what I've said to you here inside of this module. Now, phase 5 is sales. Once you dial in your outreach, you're gonna start getting meetings. And inside of Agency Accelerator, we have an incredibly in-depth phase on how to convert these meetings into paying clients, taught by Josh and Matt, who have over 350 active clients in their agencies. And they manage teams of dozens of sales reps actively selling prospects into their agency services every single day. Meaning, they know how to sell clients into agency services much better than even I do myself. So you are going to be learning from the best of the best. Their agency does upwards of $400,000 a month. Now, I'm just going to give you a quick 5-minute summary on how to approach these meetings. So in those meetings, you should come from the exact same frame as your first conversation through message, which is someone who genuinely wants to help them. Now, obviously, make sure you do your homework before hopping on the call. Study their website, their products, and everything they have available out there. Then compile a list of things that they're doing well and opportunities for improvement. So if you promised that you had a few angles for ads in mind, go in there and give them these angles and explain why they would work well for their business. Now, by doing that, you're gonna first create a lot of goodwill, and this is gonna let their guards down because they'll see you as someone who is genuinely trying to help them rather than someone who's just trying to sell themselves. And secondly, it's gonna show them that you understand what you're talking about, and it's gonna get the prospect to see you as an authority and a trustworthy figure. And most importantly, ask them questions. Figure out what are their goals and current struggles. Pay attention to their answers and use that as ammo. Help diagnose their problem and then give them direction, which should lead directly into what you offer. The more digging you do here to really uncover their problems and motivations, the less objections you're gonna get later down the line. Now, you can go really deep in this one. Usually this part of the call is called digging phase or discovery phase, and it's really where most of the sales training available out there focuses on. Inside of Agency Accelerator, we have a set of questions to ask here specifically for agency sales. But when first starting out, don't overthink it, just keep it simple. The best sales tactic I could ever give you is just be completely honest. Whenever I'm on sales call and I'm not sure if I can help a client, I literally just tell them I'm 50-50 on this. I'm not totally sure that we can get you results. And this has a weird reverse psychology effect on them that gets prospects trying to sell you into accepting them as your clients. But above anything else, it just clearly signals to them that you're not trying to bullshit, or sign them at all costs. Then, after you go through all of these, simply ask them if they know how to execute it on their own. If they don't, offer to help them. Explain exactly how your offer works and give your price. I suggest that when you're first starting out, you divide this process into 2 separate calls, where in the first one, you go through this discovery process that I just walked you through. Then, once you have all of these inputs from the prospect, this last part of presenting them with an offer can be done on a follow-up call. This is going to make it easier for you and also take pressure off of your back. Now, for this follow-up call, I always suggest offering a money-back guarantee in case you don't generate the desired results. This makes it a no-brainer for the client and takes the pressure off of the decision-making process. Again, in phase 4 of Agency Accelerator, Josh has an incredible class on how to structure these no-brainer offers for your sales meetings. It's going to convert majority of the qualified prospects that you talk to. When it comes to pricing, I suggest you start at $1,000 to $2,000 a month and you work your way up as you get more experience. And inside of the offer class in phase 1, I'm going to show you how to structure performance-based billing models, which is the easiest way to double, triple, or even quadruple the size of your client retainers. But at the beginning, you should just avoid going that route and keep it stupid simple. Now, phase 5 is systems and processes. Once you sign your first client, it's important that you have a few systems in place to provide them with the ultimate client experience and ensure that they stay with you for a long time. Now, that includes having a smooth onboarding process, selecting what client communication tool you're going to use, how you're going to get paid, how often you're going to have calls with your clients, and a bunch of those little details that we overlook at first, but are incredibly important to the client experience. But no need to worry about that for now. Once you sign your first client, you can worry about this. Now, phase 6 is service delivery, and here's where things start to get fun. Now, there's 2 paths to follow. One is delivering the services yourself, and the second is taking advantage of contractor arbitrage to get the services delivered for you. Now, the real perk of this business model is that you get to decide if you want to approach it as a one-man band where you do everything. You take care of the sales aspect of it as well as the service delivery aspect of it. And this is great for people that like to work on their own, don't like depending on others, and have extra time to invest in their business. On the other hand, you can also approach it as a businessman who just works on the business and puts other people in place to take care of the service delivery, but without having to pay a single penny out of pocket. So if you want to fulfill clients yourself, we literally have 3 bonus programs inside of Agency Accelerator. The first is Ad Architect, and that teaches you how to run Facebook ads, Google ads, TikTok ads, and everything you need to know to provide clients with paid traffic services. Next, we have Inbox Insiders, and that teaches you how to offer email marketing services for clients. Then we have Pen to Profit, and that teaches you the art of copywriting, which you can use to provide clients with copywriting services. Now, let me cover how to get the services delivered for you. If you observe how traditional service-based businesses operate, all they do is hire someone for X amount, and then they sell that time to their clients for 2, 3, 5, 10x what they pay the given employee. That is extremely profitable for the business, but it comes with its own risk. What if they end up losing a few clients and they have a fixed number of employees on payroll? Well, the employees still get paid no matter how many clients the business has, and this can get pretty dangerous pretty fast. Now, if a business is making $20,000 a month and they have a payroll of $10,000 a month, in the case they lose half of their clients in a month, they're now losing money and still have to pay their employees for the entirety of their contracts, and that's why we use contractor arbitrage. The beauty of it is that instead of having to deal with the risks that come with the typical employment relationship, such as fixed payroll and long time frame contracts, what we do is we hire contractors on a per service basis. That means that we're essentially hiring someone at no risk because they only get paid after the client pays you. So you won't ever have to pay anything out of pocket. Now, the way it works is that you pay the contractor based on how many clients they're taking care of. So the more clients they take care of, the more they get paid. But if you lose a client, they also stop getting paid for that specific client. And as I mentioned earlier, the way we teach you to structure this inside of Agency Accelerator is that you as an agency always gets paid upfront by your clients, and you always pay your contractors at the end of the month. This way, you are never running into any cash flow problems. And the real beauty of contractor arbitrage is that you can hire people who already have experience with the service you offer. Meaning, this way you can deliver services that you don't know how to deliver yourself. And if you want to learn them yourself, the best way to learn them is actually hiring contractors who know how to deliver said services and learn it from them as they do it themselves. And that's exactly how I learned Facebook ads. I moved from a content creation agency to an advertising agency, and I hired a contractor to deliver the services for my clients. And I learned from him as he delivered the service to our clients at IAG Media. And the craziest part of all of this is that it is cheaper to hire an experienced contractor who speaks impeccable English from countries like South Africa, Colombia, Brazil, Algeria, Indonesia, Philippines, than it is to hire someone who just graduated a marketing university in the US or Canada and has literally zero experience. This contractor, my contractor, for example, was from Colombia. I've hired contractors from Brazil, South Africa, Algeria, Spain, and a few other countries who are at a top level at their craft. Now, the question I get the most is how much should you pay a contractor? Basically, you can work different deals with them, but the way our students structure their deals with contractors is they pay them $250 to $1,000 per month per client. Then they charge these same clients anywhere from $1,500 to $10,000. When this contractor I mentioned first started working with me, he was charging me $600 per month per client, and I was charging these clients anywhere from $3,500 to upwards of $10,000. And you can work this out depending on your client retainers and amount of work required to service each client. Now, people always ask me, why would they accept to get paid these amounts knowing how much you're charging the client? And the reason is that if they were to work the same job in their own countries, they would usually get paid 5 to 10 times less, usually because of the huge discrepancy in currency exchange rates. So this is a huge amount of money to them, and usually the best contractors don't want to be business owners and have to deal with sales and management. All they want to do is just focus on their craft and get paid for doing that. Now, if you don't know where to find these type of people, the best place is on Facebook groups related to the service you offer. You can just create a job post there and you're going to get a bunch of applicants. You can also look on LinkedIn, Upwork, and other business-oriented social platforms. Again, inside of Agency Accelerator, we have a 40-something minute long class that covers all of the ins and outs of contractor arbitrage in excruciating detail. All right, so I covered a lot in this module, and it's literally all of the content you need to get started with your agency. Inside of the next modules, we're gonna go deeper into each one of these concepts that I presented to you today and show you how to put everything in place. So if something wasn't super clear for you, don't worry about it. This is just a high-level overview, and we're still gonna go a lot deeper. With that being said, I want you to start executing right away. You already know what to do. You already have the 6-step action plan. So the only thing between you and your first paying client is putting in the work. Execution. So don't wait until phase 6 of Agency Accelerator to start taking action. Start taking action right now. The earlier you do so, the earlier you're going to start signing your first client. And just remember, as always, I'm watching from afar and I'm rooting for you. So that was the very first class from this week's event. And you have one task to complete until episode 2 goes live on Wednesday, which is to start taking action. My promise for this event was to show you how to sign your first client. And I just did. Now it's time for you to do your part. You now have the 6-step action plan to sign your first paying client, but you're only gonna get a client if you put in the work and start outreaching. And I can't do that for you. So if you wanna finish this event with a paying client, it's time to do the work. And don't forget to post on your stories tagging me with you putting in the work and reaching out to potential clients. I'm gonna personally be reposting some of your stories. Again, our second episode goes live on Wednesday, and it is a must that you watch it live. So make sure to join the Telegram group in the description, and that way you have access to all of the downloadable files for each episode. And with that being said, I will see you on Wednesday.